Okay, everybody. Sorry I haven't been on in a while. Um, to answer one guy or girl, sorry, forget. Somebody had asked a question about where I get like the springs for my OTF knives. A good place to get them from, I think, is Raven Crest Tactical because you can get them for I believe like $5 shipped, but like they come with the spring, they come with extra screws, a tool. And they actually pretty much load you up for $5. And they do have some really good springs too. I believe they actually like their springs, coat their springs. I'm sorry, to be kind of like very water resistant or waterproof. To avoid rusting. So yeah, it that's typically where I've gotten mine from. I did try like Infinity OTF, and it was it was a ridiculous amount for just one spring shipped. And it was shipped from right here in Texas, I believe. So it's much better to go with Ravencrest. So I am trying out a new format. I do have a new stand for my phone. That way I can be hands free while I record this. And also, I'm going to be starting to get into different reviews as well. I do have some items here to review real quick. I'm going to do a real quick run through, and later on, I'm going to do a comparison video with one of them. Sorry if we keep bumping the table. My wife's here too, so, we just finished eating, so. But I also wanted to get into kind of action figure reviews since I do have a collection of that. My wife has a big collection of her own, mainly Star Trek, but it's all sorts of Star Trek memorabilia. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that before. Me, I kind of dabble in all sorts of other stuff. I mean, Star Trek as well, but Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Transformers, Godzilla, Gundam. So I do have a pretty good size collection of stuff at the moment that I kind of want to get into those reviews as well. So it's not that I will be getting out of knife or tool reviews. I still have plenty of those that I can review. It's just I kind of want to go back and forth. But right now I'm actually going to review a multi-tool pretty quickly, a knife, and a figure. So first up is my Leatherman Charge TTI Plus. I actually picked this up at a pawn shop and got it for a really good deal of $80 because I believe MSRP is like 170, 180. It came with the pocket clip. It did not come with the sheath or the little bit kit or anything else. The detachable lanyard ring, which I don't care for anyway. It does actually house a lanyard ring right there anyway. That can be put back in or pulled out. But yeah, I got it for a real good deal in great condition. So I retired, sort of, my Leatherman Charge, my regular Leatherman Charge, has been retired or been moved to my work carry. I carry that at work, and I carry this outside of work. So, and I've actually carried that Charge well before I got married, actually. So it's been a number of years that I've been carrying it. So go over real quick. The difference between this to other Charge models is just the handle scales are titanium, which only slightly reduces the weight, and it's more cosmetic than anything else. So, I mean, for they giving you wanting to, or they want you to purchase it for like 170 or something, I really don't think it's worth 170. I think that's ridiculous. But that's Leatherman. And not to say it's a bad tool, it's just I really don't think anybody should pay that much for this. So again, it has a detachable pocket clip. I will be doing a comparison between this, my Charge, my Wave, and then an Ozark Trail multi-tool from Walmart that actually is like their own version of the Wave. So look for that. So running over real quick, so you got the titanium handle scales. Another difference is an S30V blade. Nice grind on it, flat grind. Nice polish. I did have to sharpen this, touch this up a bit, and it's just super sharp. All the outside tools lock with a liner lock. There's a saw on the opposite side. Wood saw. There you go. Good wood saws. A 420 HC serrated blade with a cutting hook, which honestly, to me, they say it's good for cutting like seat belts. I think it's good for opening packages. And it's a pain to sharpen, really. The three-sided file. So we got the coarse file, the notching file or the middle file, and then the diamond coated file, which I love. That's great for sharpening. On the inside, you have the inch ruler and centimeters. So you just... there we go. There's your ruler. You have your needle nose, your cap crimper, which I really don't like. I wish they just had the rest of the needle nose serrations here. Your regular pliers, and your... this is what makes it the plus, is you have, removable wire cutters and hard wire cutters. They're 154 cm. Good steel. And then, it's kind of hard to see, but there is a crimper right at the back of the pivot. And also you have your large bit driver with a combination 1-2 Phillips. And then I believe this is... which one is this? It's not focusing very well. 3/16, I think. Flathead. And all of them lock with this lock, which is kind of like a back lock or a lock back design. It's a pretty sturdy lock. You got your can opener, bottle opener. As you could see, there's some of that rust from when I got it. And then a wire stripper. And then most people forget to mention is there. And then on the opposite side, you got your scissors, which work pretty well. I would like bigger scissors, but they do. Nevertheless, they work well enough, especially for their size. You got your small bit driver with the small Phillips and small flat. And then your large screwdriver. All in all, it is a real good tool. I do like it a lot. And that's why I carry it a lot. Very well made, but again, I don't think it's worth $200. And the titanium doesn't add to like any overall strength to the tool at all. It's just a cosmetic, aesthetic thing. So, and a reason for them to bump the price up. And I would have liked it if they had a S30V for the serrated blade, but as it is the 420HC, they do a pretty good job on that. So, okay. Next up is I got this knife for my wife. I actually found this at a pawn shop too, on a different day. I have actually been wanting to get it for her because she's a big fan of the access lock from Benchmade, and she loves the color blue. So I figured this'd be a good knife to get her, and I found it at a pawn shop. Again, it's great condition. and I got it for steel. So it's the Gerber Highbrow. Um, it has these blue, I believe they're aluminum scales. It's kind of like a matte blue here, and then transitions into kind of glossy blue up here. It has a reversible pocket clip. This is a completely ambidextrous knife, which is pretty nice. Has the lanyard hole. This kind of plastic spacer. It does have a safety. So red is dead. And an ambidextrous flipper. So the blade is about, I believe, 2.8 inches long. This one's a plain edge, and it's kind of got a hollow grind to it, and it's kind of a cross between, I guess, like a modified sheep's foot and drop point. The edge probably could use a little touching up. It does have a stone wash to it, which is pretty nice, and it actually came with no blade play or anything, so pretty nice. It has Gerber's what they call a pivot lock, which is pretty much the same thing as an access lock. Again, this is assisted. Comes out pretty smooth. I would have rather, for my preference, I would rather it not be assisted. I think it's smooth enough that it could actually just be like a regular, kind of like a Benchmade Griptilian. You could just pull the lock back and it will you could just flick it back in. The safety doesn't function for anything when this is out. It doesn't keep the blade from actually coming back in. So, but it is centered fairly well, not perfectly, but almost. Overall, it's a great feeling knife. And I had thought like it was missing screws on this side. It actually isn't. It's just one long screw. These three are just one long screw that go all the way through. Overall, it is a nice knife. It's just aesthetically, it's not one that I would gravitate towards, but my wife really likes it, and I figured she would. So overall, I mean, it does function very well. Comes out really quick, and feels good in the hand. Now the steel, on the other hand, is 7CR. Whether that's 7CR MOV, I don't know, because all I could find out was it's 7CR, so in the 440 range, pretty much, of steel. So not a great steel, but not a terrible steel either. And the stone washing does help with hiding scratches and corrosion resistance, so not bad, So far, I have to say this is one of Gerber's better knives, at least from what I'm seeing here, anyway. Okay, so what figure to do a review on? I thought long and hard about this, and I do have quite a few that come to mind, but I figure, I'm big on knives. What about doing a review on a guy who basically has switchblades in his arm? And that would be Wolverine. You know what? Let me try and adjust this to where we can get a better look at him. Might have to change this somewhat, but I'll figure this out. I'm learning as I go. So, this is Marvel Legends Wolverine. He's just called Wolverine on the package. I unfortunately do not have the package. My wife had me get rid of all the packages.
You're trying to purge.
You hear that? We're trying to purge. That's not a good thing.
Purge the apartment.
So, anyway, I've heard him called Cowboy Wolverine, and I guess if you Google Cowboy Wolverine, pretty much this figure comes up. And of course, you can see by his cowboy hat, which I think is actually on backwards, but I'm too lazy to try and take it off and then redo the underneath and then glue it back on. I just don't care. But yeah, Wolverine's one of my favorite fictional characters, and since he does have switchblades in his arms, I figured, hey, it'd be good to do this one first. So he does actually come with 2 sets of hands and 2 heads. I do have another Marvel Legends Wolverine. It's an X-Force Wolverine. So these heads and the hands actually can be swapped between these figures, which is pretty cool. More so the heads than the hands, because on the X-Force one, the hands are actually gloved, all black. So it kind of looks weird, but nevertheless, you could do it. So he does come with the cowboy hat and the smirk, and then the berserker, I guess, face. And then he comes with his hands with the adamantium claws extended. These actually came, well, on this side especially, came very loose, so I had to glue them in. They're still not straight enough, but it is what it is. It's okay. And then he comes with 2 gripping hands. And why does he have gripping hands? Well, because he comes with his Muramasa, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, blade. Which actually is really nice blade, and I do like this sculpt they did for the handle, in the corded handle. It looks really good. It's a really nice knife, sword. It does not fit in his hand very well, though, which sucks, but it's nevertheless, it's really nice to have. So for articulation, let me get the hands out of the way. So for articulation, it does have a ball joint for the head. The head turns. It also pivots back and forth. It has a pivot there, if you could probably see it. Pivot on the shoulders. The arms move all the way around. Can pivot at the bicep. Has double jointed elbows, which were, this figure came out very, very rigid and stiff, and took a minute to break it in. The wrist pivot and turn, and then they have a horizontal pivot. He does have the ab crunch, which is pretty good. It goes back pretty good. And then a waist pivot. There's rotation at the thigh, and then here pivot too. Double jointed knees, and then a ankle rocker, and it actually does go side to side as well. So there's pretty good articulation on this figure, definitely. Overall, I really do like this figure. I just wanted to get I have a number of Wolverine figures, but this is the real Wolverine. But I really wanted to get one that didn't have a mask on it, and he's one of those characters that you can definitely just get in street clothes, and no matter what, it's Wolverine. That's the beauty of this particular character. So overall, my only real gripe, aside from being a pain trying to get the joints and articulation going when I first got it, was also these claws. Just they had a hard time staying in and couldn't stay straight. So, and also that his sword doesn't hold into his hands very well. Other than that, I really do like this figure. This is my favorite Wolverine figure. So, all right. And here he is with the other head. I think that actually looks pretty cool. There he is holding his Muro. It's like I can pronounce it in my head, but once I try actually saying it, I can't pronounce it. Muromasu blade. So overall, I think this is a really good figure. So I'd say I recommend it. And so far, I have to say I would recommend the Gerber Highbrow. But again, with Gerber, it's kind of hit or miss with many of their products. But so far, I am impressed by this. And if you can find this at a good price, I would say I recommend the Leatherman Charge TTI Plus. So, there you have it. Hope to return with more reviews later on. Thanks for watching. God bless.